Here we go. Hey, everybody.
What up, late night snacks?
What up? Yes,
What up, what up, what up, snackers? Lady
we
snackers
are
in the house? No
50%
snackers
of
in the
late night
house.
snacks.
Half the crew's here. Half the crew's not
Yes.
here. We missed the crew. Where's the crew? Come on down, guys. So, sending our love to Lady Di, sending our love to Miss Melly Mel. You guys are out there. We know you're live. You're well. Your home is here. Come on.
Always.
If you want to join us in the comments, on screen, whatever, you know where to find us. We're here. But no, listen, love to the ladies. They'll be
Yeah.
around. It's just Christmas time and things. People are busy, but we wanted to get in our Spider-Man review. We're not going to have
Yes.
a channel with that guy on it without a Spider-Man review. Come on now.
Hi,
What's
Blaze.
up?
Blaze is
What's
in the
up, Blaze?
house.
So we are going to give an in-depth spoiler filled. I'm gonna break this shit down. So if you have not seen No Way Home and you do not want to know what happens, when it happens, why it happens, then scuttle on out the door
Yeah,
because
you've
I
been
ain't waiting for nobody.
forewarned.
We're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie because I've
Because
been waiting
I
a
did,
long time.
I did put the fact that we are going to spoil it
Yes, we
in
are.
the
Yes,
title.
yes, yes,
So,
indeed. I've had several requests about what I thought about the movie, so we decided to pop on and give a review since it's been a couple days. We were going to do this right at Thursday night, right after the premiere, but we waited for people to see it. So
oh,
here we
B's
are.
in
What's up,
the
BRT?
house.
So coming
Our
up
guy in the
very
chair.
soon, in a moment, will be our spoiler filled review of No Way Home. But first, we got a couple of things we want to cover first. Is Miss Debbie
Yes.
in the house? I don't think so.
I don't think she's here yet.
Okay.
Although if she doesn't show up, I know she'll be watching later. So
Okay.
we can
Well, right. Well, right
always.
on. But what we wanted to do was, and BRT is in the house, and he could pop in on the comments, maybe with a picture or so. I don't know if you can do that in the comments. But one of our crew members, our backstage crew members, Miss Debbie Ebby, wherever she is at tonight, sent us all the Late Night Sex crew and folks Christmas gifts this year. And
Yes.
boy, I've never been so blown away by a Christmas gift that shows the outpouring of love, friendship, dedication that somebody really just put into thought process into gifts for several people. There was 5 or 6 of us that received these gifts. So the time and
Yeah.
effort that it took Debbie to do these things, we thought deserved its own piece on here on the show, and needed some recognition. And so, Dawn, you want to start since yours is the
Yeah, I
mammoth?
might as well start because mine is sitting right here. Okay,
Yeah.
for anyone who doesn't know, um, I am heavily interested in Alice in Wonderland. It's one of my favorite movies. So, what she
Yeah.
did for me is she took a vintage Alice in Wonderland book and turned it into a journal with various homemade pages. Each one has pockets. Let me find one with a pocket. They have pockets in them,
Mm-hmm.
and she's put different sheets of paper and bookmarks and all kinds of things in here. She did some serious work on this. I am highly impressed. I've never seen anything like this. And the
And they're
fact that
all individualized per
they're
person.
all
It's
individualized.
fantastic.
She incorporated my favorite color, which is purple. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this is I cherish this more than she's ever going to realize because I've
Yep.
never gotten anything like this before. Um,
Absolutely.
I am blown away by the work that was put into this. She's been working on these for months,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot thank her enough. And honestly, Debbie, you need to go into business and start
Yeah,
selling
that's one of
things.
the reasons we're highlighting this today is I sat down with mine this morning and I was just going through it really methodically, really um, thinking about it. And I said, my God, the masterful work and love that was put into this. And it was the letter that is, there's personalized stuff that she sent to us, but then there's also
Yeah,
a letter from Debbie as from
yeah.
the
She
corporation
also
or whatever.
she also made us all. She made us all per. She all made us all bookmarks.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my bookmark. That's one side, and this is the other side. And these are all made out of homemade paper,
Mhm.
things that she did on her own. The
Yeah,
craftsmanship of this is amazing.
it is absolutely amazing.
I am so blown away. I was literally bawling when I opened this. Um, and I didn't give her, I know I didn't express to her how grateful I am to receive something like this,
Yeah,
because
that's
I live for things like this. I love it when things people make things for other people. It's one of my favorite things to do, and the fact that she took time out of her busy schedule to do something like this for me is just mind-blowing. And I appreciate it more than she ever will ever know. Do you want to show yours off?
yeah. Well, first off, in each of the books comes a I don't want to say corporate,
Where
it's
is
not a corporation, but a blanket letter that explains
Yes.
what this craftsmanship is all about. And when I was reading this letter this morning, I thought, my God, she's hit gold with this, and I really, really want to showcase
I
this
know,
for a
because
bit.
I have mine as well. Do you
Yeah,
want to
and
read
so
yours?
what the letter says is, I'm not gonna read the whole thing it's a big thing, and if you guys are want to know, then we could post this letter, but it says it talks about the books in general. It talks about what her thought process is, going into this, that these are individualized, these are something with care and with love, but then it's what she says about what they're intended for, which really got me. And it
Yeah.
says, she says, turning each page should be an adventure, a treasure hunt, a surprise, and hopefully bring a smile to your face. It says, as you turn the pages, please remember you cannot ruin this book. You can only make it more yours by using it. That's powerful to me.
Yeah.
That you got something so individual that you don't want to touch, you don't want to rummage through, because it is so beautiful, and that's the exact opposite of the intention of the book. The book is to be used, to be added to be,
Yeah.
and to give you joy, and they do. These things really do give you joy, because not only is just what the book contains, or how it was made, it's the love and the friendship that went behind it, that how deep the individualism of each of them were, and
Yeah.
how much time and craftsmanship. I I wished it was in the house today to answer a couple of questions, and we'll get back to you maybe on a different stream. But I'm not sure if she has an Etsy shop, BRT. If you know, if Debbie
Yeah.
has some sort of
I honestly
shop
don't know.
or site, um, but if so, we just wanted to showcase it. We just wanted to send
Yeah.
our love, that she sent, this kind of love, and publicly thank her,
And
and show them off a little bit.
she means so much to us. It's like we can't even express
Yeah,
how
it's
much
it's it's
she truly means to
words
us.
words. This is the kind of thing where when words fail, love is shown, and
Yeah.
I'm still blown away
And
by the
yet
whole thing. So
here's
mine is one of the
here's
she has different
another
types
thing
of
that she
stuff.
did. Here's another thing she did for the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
We all have our own like nameplate that
Yeah.
we can put on the walls.
You see?
So that's
So
mine.
there's mine. It's that guy. Uh, what was I saying before? Oh,
you're gonna talk about
the
yours
style of
now.
books. The style of books are, some of them are old vintage books that have been made into something individual, like Dwanda's. Some of them
That's what
are
mine is.
completely fresh from scratch books, that she's made, which is like mine. Mine is a comic book superhero based thing, which really focuses. Tom, this picture is so beautiful. I'm actually going to having this picture done as a huge print, huge canvas in my house to go with my Spider-Man stuff. And Debbie, I can't thank you enough for this picture. It's absolutely amazing. It's featured.
Beautiful.
What I love about my book is this picture that's so gorgeous and so unique. It's featured throughout my book, and then my book contains lots of other items, like the ones, postcards and journal pages and bookmarks, but it's all comic book based on these beautiful cover replicas of old DC comic covers, that are all postcards. What I find fascinating, every page is unique, every page is individual. Every page is handmade. Every single page has been touched by Debbie, made by Debbie, handmade. These little note cards that are in random slots. I'm so fascinated by these. I'm so at awe with these.
Yeah.
These are all throughout my books, and they just randomly appear. these are little gems. I can't explain how something so simple just it blows my mind. It's right up my alley.
Yeah,
Um, my
mine are all vintage playing cards.
my postcard or my bookmark is Tom again, the same picture,
Yeah.
the tassel. I love. I'll show you that canvas comes. I've already ordered that canvas of this picture, and again, all the pages are individualized. Again, this is where holding my name tag that Duana talked about. So they're incredible. They're absolutely amazing. And we wanted to just spend a few moments to let her know that these
That
have
we love
not
her.
gone unnoticed.
No.
The love behind this. I mean, oops, Lord,
Oh my goodness.
we fell off a
Man
shelf.
down.
Committed suicide.
Man down.
All right, man down, man down. Where are we at here? Here we go.
All right.
Hi. We're
Okay.
so excited. The building came down. No. So anyway, Debbie, thank you from the bottoms of our heart. Thank you,
We
thank you,
love you,
thank
hon.
you. We love you and continue up the good work. If you have a site somewhere or you have an Etsy store or something like that is going on, let us know so we can get the word out. And we'll feature
Yeah.
it every week. We'll feature it in our comments, whatever, however we can feature it. We will, because if you want to take the time to do any of this publicly, I think you should. I think you really struck gold with this. And if you didn't know the level of craftsmanship and talent that you actually do have, it's here. And it's
Yeah.
amazing. And I'm sure people would be all over this if you did. I mean, I know it's a one-woman shop and it takes a lot of time to do something like this, but a lot of time, a lot of effort means a lot of bunnies. Got something
Mhm.
going on with these, but this will be cherished forever. Oh, and
Yes.
so another random thing. It just came with mine. It's just note paper, just individualized handmade paper.
Yeah, I
It was
got
all
one of
put
those
together in
too.
note paper. Amazing,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. So, Debbie, we love you.
Mwah.
Maybe we'll have you on. You can explain some of
So
the process,
much.
whatever. We'll do a special on it. Or if you don't want us to talk about it, we won't. I just want to say thank you publicly because we're
Yeah.
still blown away by it.
Mhm.
All right,
All right. So now we're gonna
Luca, what are
switch
you doing?
gears.
Switch
Are you
gears
ready?
to.
Are you ready to switch gears? Here
I
we go.
am. I'm so ready.
Because we got people in the comments that want to talk about this. Because
This is Tom. This is Tom. What do we got
White
here? It
Bear
was perfect.
Productions
All
is in the
right. Well,
house.
perfect, I
How
think,
you
is
doing? Perfect.
a little stretch, but all right. So here we go. We're going to talk about this movie. We are not going we are not going to recap it. If you
And
want
we're
to
not.
recap, like Jeremy John says, if you want to recap, go watch the movie. I'm not going to
Yeah.
recap this scene by scene. There's a lot of this movie. What we are, we're just going to have a conversation about it. We're going to talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, some really, really key points to this, and some high points, some great spoilers. Where we'll do some great
Yeah.
spoilers, but we're just gonna
And
have a
we're
discussion. So if
and we're
there's
also
something in the
not.
comments,
We're also not going to sugarcoat anything.
yeah, if there's something in the comments that you guys want to ask about how we felt or particularly happened in the movie, just shoot us a comment and we'll gladly answer.
Yes.
So Spider-Man: No Way Home is the third part in what they're calling now the Homecoming trilogy of MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, Spider-Man films. Tom has actually done 5 films for Marvel so far. That includes the 6 films. That includes the 2 Avengers films in Civil War. But his own trilogy is the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy, directed by Tom Watts. All 3 of them, and here we go. This is the final part. They were building this as Spider-Man Endgame, meaning this was going to be the big, huge end for this Spider-Man trilogy, and it felt that. Was it on Endgame standards? No, I don't think it was that huge. It didn't have that kind of payoff, but for a Spider-Man film and for what Tom Watts was doing, it's absolutely amazing as a big epic end adventure. So from the jump, did I like it? Did I hate it? I loved it. Perfection, I think, is a stretch of a word, but I think that it had. There's things that we'll talk about. There are things that I absolutely did not like, and we'll go over that. But the film had so much heart and so much love that was just outpouring by the end of this film. That like the first thing I did when I called Dwanda, I just ugly cried. I just ugly cried to death on this film because it is not a sad cry. It wasn't like, oh my god, I'm devastated, I'm crying. It was just overwhelming of emotion because there's so much love, there's so much heart. It's like pure teen heart that just exudes in this film, and I've never seen a film capture it as well as this film did. Just the pure level of emotion that comes out of it. So yes, I loved it. Yes, it's something I'll watch again and again and again. I won't ever stop loving it. But there are stuff that I think could
Yeah,
have
Blaze
definitely
wants
been
to know.
improved.
Blaze wants to know what we thought about MJ.
I love Zendaya, and I think that was one of the highlights for me
Yeah.
of the entire movie was Tom and Zendaya's chemistry. Is That's perfection. I mean, you want to
Yes.
talk about the word perfection? Their chemistry was because they are dating in real life, because they are in love in real life. Their relationship as Peter Parker and MJ was so believable. You could feel it. It was palpable. I mean, possibly was the highlight of the entire movie for me. Zendaya,
Mhm.
this was her shining moment. She was absolutely
Yeah,
incredible.
I
Tom
agree.
Holland, Tom Holland deserves some awards for this film. I'm sorry, I know I doubt on Tom over and over and over, but Tom Holland went from just being Spider-Man to being an A-list actor in this film. I mean, he was absolutely incredible. I mean, I've heard different reviewers say if you don't think that Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man after this film, then you don't know Spider-Man,
Right.
because this kid had all the heart that Spider-Man had. I mean, even though the other Spider-Man were in it, oh, spoilers,
Spoilers.
yes,
Yeah,
Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in this film, and they're in this film quite
quite a
a
bit.
lot. It's not just a cameo; they are supporting actors in this film. So I was really surprised to see it. It was. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Tom, I sorry, Tom outshined them. Tom outshined any
Yeah.
Spider-Man iteration, and it has a lot to do with the writing. The writing of this was so incredible when it dealt with the three different Spider-Mans and Spider-Man's relationship with his friend Ned and MJ. The writing was just brilliant
Mhm.
around that. So so the good part, I say, I'll hit a few of the highlights that I just really, really, absolutely loved. One was the writing, the heart, behind the writing. Two was
Yeah.
their chemistry, Zendaya and Tom's chemistry. I also loved all three of the banter between the three Spider-Men when that
Mhm.
happened was
Yeah.
so on point, and these three guys really got each other. You can
That
tell
was
that they had
very
a
entertaining.
really working relationship well together because they were just on point with the banter back and forth. It was hilarious. Um, the I also liked the trilogy, and what I mean by that is this is the best trilogy I've ever seen as far as beginning, middle, and end. This film absolutely takes the entire trilogy full circle. You feel like you've gone through this complete journey with them, and you feel like you've ended up in a better place, but kind of in the same place that you've been. It has that full circle approach to it, and I don't think trilogies lately have done that kind of justice to their own trilogies before. But like the new Star Wars trilogy wasn't a trilogy; it sucked. Things like
No.
that. There's even complaints about the Hobbit trilogy, and this one felt like a trilogy. All three pieces of this really need to go together for you to really get the feel of it, and they
I
did that
agree,
very, very well.
Blaze. The three Spider-Men, their banter between one another was extremely entertaining. I truly enjoyed that part.
Oh, it's great. Like I said, they got each other. They really, you could tell they really understood. And on a side note, Andrew Garfield looked happier than shit to be there. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows the story behind that Spider-Man film and what happened with Andrew. There was a lot of contract problems with Andrew at the time, and basically it ended badly for Andrew in the studio. When Spider-Man 2 wrapped, they were even considering Spider-Man 3, but Andrew didn't appear on the press tour for Spider-Man 2, and it got really ugly really fast. But to see Andrew back as Spider-Man, which I love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, to see
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield back as Spider-Man and so happy, you could tell he was it was almost meta. He was almost out of character, just so elated to be there.
He was so happy
It
to
fed
be
off the
there.
screen. Yeah,
He
it was
was
neat.
so happy to be there.
And
But
I hope that we see.
is that the
Hmm?
reason that they didn't do three? Was
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah,
because
with
yeah,
and then the new negotiations with the Marvel Studios that was happening with the Iron Man stuff that was getting ready to start in the Avengers and all that. It was a lot of behind the scenes back stuff that
yeah.
I mean we could do a whole special on it, but it's not pretty. None of it's pretty for Andrew. It was bad at the time. The writings and then the reception for Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't good, and all that kind of stuff, but it's good to see him. It's good to see everybody positive, everybody working together. Andrew very, very happy back to be, Spider-Man. Even Toby, who is retired, um,
Yeah.
was great. He was fit right back into Spider-Man. Um, he was indifferent about getting an emotion from him for being there, but that's Tobey Maguire, and we got to
Yeah.
respect Tobey because Tobey's not been in the business for a while. He's not
No.
done anything for a while, so it was good to see him back. The crowds, if you can see on YouTube, different YouTube videos, the crowd's reactions when the boys come in, is almost
Yeah.
Endgame level. So excited that Andrew and Tobey are in there. I'll be very honest. When I knew this was going to happen months ago, there were certain parts that you just kind of couldn't avoid that you knew was out there. You knew was going to happen. I knew the
Uh-huh.
basic plot of this film several months ago, almost a year ago. But and I was really not for it. I was pretty vocal about not having Andrew and Toby in this film, not having this be a multiverse, and let Tom finish a trilogy, and
On
then
its
do
own.
something multiverse, then move it on. It would be fine. I was wrong, absolutely wrong, and I stand here to eat crow. This was nothing but perfection as far as having them in the film. It was the best decision that Kevin Feige made, as well as Amy Pascal, to go forward and do the story. It's again a test to Marvel Studios and the MCU and what they're able to do. They said this couldn't be done when they did the animation of the Spider-Verse. They said a live action couldn't be done. Here it is, right on your
There it
screen.
is.
The start of a major multiverse live action spider film. The magic that Marvel produces, it just works. We do know that there's going to be more. There's going to be more from these Spider-Man. There's possibly even going to be more of Andrew Spider-Man and Toby Spider-Man. We'll see. But the reception is really well. We're going to talk about the importance of this film globally in a minute. But
Mm.
the emotion that I took out of it is just on a high. You want
Yeah.
to use the word perfection. That's what perfection they can do, is to make me feel the way they did. Now, what did I not like? First, the plot was really thin as far
Yeah.
as why we had this grand adventure, and I thought with doing something like Infinity War and Endgame, I thought the writers could have come up with something a little bit more intricate to get us more heavily emotionally involved, tense involved, and why this
Yeah.
is all happening than why it happened. Because basically, in a nutshell, Peter Parker is exposed by Mysterio at the end, and I'm kind of left with the idea that Mysterio is really dead. Because
Yeah.
Jake
I,
Gyllenhaal does
I
not
got that
appear. There's no
feeling too.
talk of Jake Gyllenhaal Mysterio at all. Nothing. We are to be led to believe by these producers or by these creators that Mysterio is dead. It's not that he faked his own death and did all this. He
Right.
exposed Peter Parker in his death. So I'm going with that. I really think the MCU wants us to believe that Mysterio is dead, and that kind of goes along with Jake Gyllenhaal, that he was
Yeah.
probably like Kate Blanchett, a one and done kind of thing. That seems more his A-list, kind of speed. So we'll see. Um, but so Peter Parker is exposed as Spider-Man. The movie takes place literally in the exact same scene as the post-credit scene of Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Yeah.
Every Spider-Man film ends with "What the fuck," and that's right where this film picks up. It's like "What the," and you hit it from a different angle, and it's perfect. And all of it was filmed again. It was like they didn't have all this footage from before. They recreated
No.
that entire New York street scene as they did in Far From Home, down to the bystanders behind Zendaya wearing the exact same outfits, being the exact same standby actors that they had. It's pretty phenomenal if you haven't seen the making of YouTube video on that, on that recreating that scene.
Yeah.
What
Blaze, we
was
will
that?
get to the
Yeah, we'll get to
post
the post credit
credit
scenes in a minute.
scenes. I promise.
So um so back to the plot basically, so he's exposed, and now the paparazzi and the press and the government's coming after him because the government feels now that he was involved in all of this endgame stuff and the snap stuff and all this higher crap that is going on. And he thinks he's in a lot of trouble, but more so than anything, he thinks everybody around him is just being bothered, is being crucified for something they had nothing to do with, just knowing that he's Spider-Man. And it switches kind of tones a little bit right there in the kind of beginning
Yeah.
middle, where the kids, we go back to the kids being kids. And that's one thing that Tom Watts did brilliantly crafting this story, was he always kept the kids as kids. He never created an adult Spider-Man at 16 years old. These are kids, and they're expressing things that a typical 18, 17-year-old would do in their senior year of college, is seniors high school, was to look forward to college. And one thing that MJ, Ned, and Peter agreed to do, amidst all the chaos, is we're going to get an MIT together, and we're going to live together, and we're going to be bonded as a threesome, as a trio.
Yep.
And that's the catalyst for this entire film, because none of them get into MIT because of the scandal with Peter Parker being Spider-Man. And Peter Parker cannot stand that so much that he goes to Doctor Strange and says, I want the people who know that I'm Spider-Man to forget I'm Spider-Man. And Doctor Strange tells him the only way that you can do this with this grand spell is that they'll not know you. They will forget everything about you. And he's like, wait, no, MJ can't, Ned can't.
Everyone?
And Peter gets all, kerbuffled in the spell, and he breaks the spell, and there you go. It's chaos, and the spell goes wrong, and the multiverse opens up. And I thought, that's the flaw in the film right there. That's for me, that's where they could have really, really thought and put a lot more effort into, because Doctor Strange is supposed to be the Sorcerer Supreme. Doctor Strange has seen some shit all the way from Infinity War and Endgame. He's gone how many millions of possibilities? That was the end of Endgame. 1 point something million possibilities that he looked at. He went to each possibility when he was doing the thing in Infinity War. The man is the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
And he lets this kid fuck up this spell so bad that chaos ensues in the midst of doing the spell. It's like, I would think Doctor Strange would be like, okay, we can do this, but we just kind of alone. You need to shut the hell up and not say anything, because the damages that this can cause and blah, blah, blah. It was, Doctor Strange was kind of used as a puppet in this film, and I don't think that's very to his character. So I didn't like that. But anyway, regardless, the spell opened up the multiverse, and in comes the, now this gets confusing and they didn't explain it well. And I was watching a lot of other YouTubers and stuff really kind of break it down and explain it a bit. But the multiverse opens up and the villains come through from the other Spider-Man films because they knew who Peter Parker was, that they knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, and they all met their doom at the hands of a Peter Parker.
Right.
So they were coming in to wreak their justice on a Peter Parker whom they know is Spider-Man.
Okay.
Take it. It's one of those things you just got to go with. You just got to take it for what it is. It was an excuse to open the multiverse, and the multiverse opened up, meaning we got in the villains from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man franchise and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man franchise, which are two separate franchises, separate worlds, separate universes from the MCU, from each other even. And then, so we got Doc Ock comes in first. There's that big bridge fight scene that's in every trailer. And that's when we start to learn, wait a minute, that is Doc Ock from the Tobey Maguire films. He's talking about Tobey Maguire. He's going into all this. They're like, holy hell. In the midst of that fight, Green Goblin comes in, Norman Osborn, and he's angrier than hell, and all chaos ensues and blah, blah, blah. Here we go. We got fighting. Long story short, once all this kerfuffle is done, we find out that Doctor Strange now has the ability to capture these guys, and he's got them in like a little prison down in his basement. And we go down to the basement. This is where we start talking to all the villains and find out, okay, that's not your Peter Parker. This is the multiverse, and here we are. My problem with all of this was, number one, we didn't get to see the capture of any of these guys. They did a weird trick, and it was playing with the audience's mind for some reason. I guess they just felt it wasn't important. They flash forward in time in the middle of a fight. Yeah. And it was so bizarre to me. I was like, something that the MCU has never done before, something they've never shown in any of the characters' powers or Doctor Strange's powers. He basically is Star Trek. He basically teleported Peter out of that fight and into a future hours later when he has already captured all these guys in the basement. And it was so bizarre.
It was just confusing.
What the hell just happened? It's so weird. Yeah, it was like it literally was a Star Trek moment. It was very strange. I was like, okay, and I know it was an element to just move time along, but it's like the film is already 2.5 hours. Well, why don't you show the capture of at least one and then jump forward in time, not vaporize Peter in the middle of it and jump? It was weird. Maybe we'll see more of that in Multiverse of Madness. I don't know, but it's something very new for this film. So what comes down to it is this is where the heart of the film comes in. This is where it turns for just almost perfection for me. If you want to use that term, is the villain Peter and Aunt May. Aunt May convinces Peter that they have to help these villains and not just send them away back to the chaos of their own Peter Parker. They said we've got to help them. We got to help them see the light today. We got to help them cure them. We got to help them. We that's what we do. We help people. We do good. We don't just, like Doctor Strange says, just send it back as somebody else's problem. No, we help people, and the heart of that. And if you don't know any of the Spider-Man comics and Aunt May. And this point, Aunt May actually runs an entire organization in New York that's for like the homeless and stuff. So this is her wheelhouse. This is her entire forte is doing this for people, being somebody's guardian angel and stuff like that. I forget what the shelter is called, but that's her persona. And
Mm-hmm.
so they decided to set out a plan to move forward to go help these people. And she had already met Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, and they had already had a conversation. And she liked him, and she says, we really got to help him. Blah blah. The villains don't agree. Some of the villains decide, what, we're going to help Peter, like Doc Ock, who's relatively good in the comics now too. And they got Electro on board a little bit, but there's chaos within the villain team, and the villain team goes rogue. Green Goblin decides to take control of the villain team and create chaos. That's what Green Goblin does. His mania, he creates chaos. And Aunt May is killed in this process. Okay, and that's the turning point for Peter, and that's where the gut wrench of this movie comes in. When Aunt May is killed, we see a whole different Peter Parker. We see somebody that's out for vengeance. We see somebody that's mad. We see somebody that doesn't give a flying fuck about helping anybody, and he's off on his own. He's like, forget. And this is where Tom does his best work, and it's just like, he's like, screw all this. It's not my problem. I'm the one that just paid the ultimate price for this, and it's not even my problem. And he goes off on his own. When he goes off on his own, they realize that little box thing that they were trying to capture the villains in had some magic in it. Had a sling ring in. Sling rings are the brass knuckle rings that Doctor Strange people they use to create those portals and stuff. And there's a whole through line through the movie about Ned and Ned's ancestors creating magic and all this shit.
Yeah.
But basically, Ned starts tampering with the sling ring because they're looking for Peter because he's gone off because he's mad and he's sad and Aunt May has died. They're looking for Peter. He conjures up the portals to bring the other two in, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. They come in. They explain that they have been looking for Peter because they got the call when the multiverse opened up. They knew that something was wrong with this universe's Peter Parker. They got the call. They're here to help. Where is he? Blah blah blah. So. Teams united. They go find Peter. Tobey Maguire knew an idea where he was at. Zendaya confirmed. There they go. They go find Peter. It's a beautiful moment between Ned and MJ and Peter. Peter sobbing. Oh, that's so good. And they all decide to unite because it's big 5-person team. We're save the world. That's what it feels like. It's such a high roller coaster ride. This big save the world. They defeat the villains in the end. They send everybody back. They think that all is well. Well, by the end of it, the entire multiverse opens up. It's cracking open. Villains and all sorts of shit. Who knows? All these guys are coming in from left to right. Doctor Strange says he can't stop it. Peter says the only way to stop it is that we go back to the beginning, and everybody that knows that I'm Peter Parker needs to forget. So here we are, right where this movie started.
Right where we started.
Like, why didn't we just do this shit in the first place? We would have been through all this. But so they do it. They do it successfully. All the people who knew that Spider-Man was Peter Parker forget. They don't have no clue who he is. That includes MJ. That includes Ned. That includes Happy. That includes Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
All of it. Nobody knows who he is. So it really resets the whole franchise that now they can do whatever the hell they want to do with Tom Holland's Spider-Man because the film ends on such a beautiful note. And the film ends very similar to the way Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them ended with what's his face going to see Queenie. Yeah. So it's very similar. But Tom goes into a coffee shop to see Zendaya, MJ, and there's this moment where he keeps wanting to say something. There does seem like a small recognition moment in MJ, kind of like there's more to say, but they didn't. And then Tom goes off back to his apartment, which is a rundown, poor apartment in New York, where he's by himself with no technology, no nothing, created a suit for himself, and he flies out the window and swings through the city to be Spider-Man.
Yep.
And it's like, and that new suit is very, very classic blue and red spider suit that and you say, hey, is that where, show me a picture of Spider-Man? That's the suit you see. I mean, it's the classic suit. And it leaves on this really hopeful note, but kind of sad, a little melancholy. But overall, it was that unison of those guys at the end that was just so powerful. And it was just it's so incredibly moving. Toby and Andrew got sent back to their universe. We don't know what's going to happen with them. There they are. They're whatever. Right. But okay, post-credit scenes. if you guys saw Venom Carnage or Venom 2, the Absolute Carnage film, or whatever it's called, There Will Be Carnage.
Yeah,
The
Venom
post credit
2.
scene for that film, was Venom, the symbiote, recognizing Tom Holland's picture on the TV at the exact same moment where No Way Home starts. Mysterio's
Yep.
exposing Peter Parker as Spider-Man, and they're watching TV in some little motel, and all of a sudden the world changes, and they're in the MCU. Venom and what's his name, Eddie Brock. They're in the MCU, and they're like, "What the hell's going on? Oh my god, what
Yeah.
just happened?" The post-credit scene for this film is the other side of that, where we see now Venom and Eddie Brock in the MCU. They're talking to a bartender, and they talk about the bartender's catching them up to date of everything that happened in the MCU. You talk about Thanos and the Infinity Stones and all that. And Eddie Brock is like, "Oh my god, we got to figure this out. We got to help somebody out." We're basically the whole multiverse kind of trying to in shock for what happened for the 5 years and all that stuff. They go to leave, and Venom drops a piece of the symbiote behind, and there's a big blob of the symbiote, meaning the symbiote Venom is now in the MCU, ready to get a hold of Spider-Man in the MCU. We'll have the black suit, we'll have the old story, which is neat because it's almost the same as the comic book origins of the suit, except for they were in space, and a blob happened. Tom got the suit, or no, Peter Parker got the suit, and the black suit was formed. And it wasn't actually until they got back from Earth that Peter started sensing that there was something alien about the suit. So this is kind of like on the same veins as that. I imagine the symbiote's going to get a hold of Peter, and he's going to have a new suit created because he doesn't have any technology anymore. All of his technology is gone. Now he's just got his little homemade suit, and there it goes. Oh, we didn't talk about the suits yet. We will talk about it too that are in this film because that was interesting. So that was the post credit. And then the other post credit scene, surprisingly, which I don't know if they've ever done this before.
No.
Correct me if I'm wrong, if they had or not. The end credit scene at the very, very, very end of the film was the preview for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. The first theatrical preview of it. And people were going apeshit about that we got a preview like that. Man,
that was a first from it. They've never done that before.
But I thought the preview was visually stunning, and the film looks crazy. But I didn't get anything from it. I didn't get any plot or what.
I'm not saying
he seeks out Wanda.
I'm not looking for. Of course, I'm looking forward to it. But I'm confused by it. I don't know everything.
Because behind
what
the
are they
scenes,
trying to set up? Yeah.
From what I hear, the movie's not doing well. The test audience for that film, it was the first MCU film that actually failed to test audience, and so they're going back. They scheduled 6 weeks of reshoots for that film. That's an incredibly long time for reshoots. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Could be Hollywood Babble, but it looks beautiful. Yeah. It looks absolutely stunning. So really dark, real sinister. It's gonna be that horror film that they promised. So that was cool. Last thing, just before we open it up, is the suits. Yeah. The suits were interesting in this film. They're the suits, the new suits to sell toys, but the new suits that were created for this film had very neat little plot elements that the other suits at times didn't have. Because like the other suits in Homecoming, you had his homemade suit and then the suit that Tony Stark gives him, and they fight, and there you go, and that's it. In Far From Home, you have the suit that Sam Jackson gives him. Nick Fury has the stealth suit that was part of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then his new suit that he created, like Tony Stark created his Iron Man suit. Right. It was that moment. This film had very significant reasons to it, and it was all based on his old suits. You had the suit that that he left Far From Home in, the red and black suit, the upgrade suit that he made on the plane in Far From Home, and then he still had the symbiote suit, the Iron Spider suit from Infinity War, and he was using that during the fight with Doc Ock, over him. Doc Ock gets a hold of some of that suit and sucks some of that suit onto the tentacles, so Peter only has part of the suit, and so he had to ditch that suit, and then they create a suit that could fight Electro in the with the electricity and everything, so that he doesn't get electrified and all that. So that's the suit that has Doctor Strange created with the magic, so that he can use some of the Doctor Strange's magic within all that. And that suit was it was cool for that scene, but that was the only place it was used. Yeah, that was the only. You had this big old huge magic thing that was going on with the black suit, the black and gold suit, and it was never seen again. So that suit got damaged, it got destroyed in that fight. But at the same time, you're going to create magic in a suit, which really wasn't about that suit. It was about the gauntlets that he had with all the magic. But I think that was a dud that really didn't pay off the way it was billed to be this big magic suit. It just didn't pay off.
Uh-huh.
And then you had the in suit. This, where's he at? This suit, the gold, the new one that looks kind of like the Iron Spider suit, but it's not. This is not the Infinity War suit, because basically what this is the black and red suit that he had in the very beginning at the end of Far From Home, with the remaining elements of the Iron Spider suit that Doc Ock gives back to him. The ones that Doc Ock took from him, these are the remaining elements. He puts them back onto Peter, and they form the gold pieces over the chest. So this is those two suits combined, and he had the powers of the Iron Spider suit, but just his regular suit, because he didn't have all the nanotech for it. It's
Yeah.
really neat idea. And then the suit at the end that he created was just a classic red and blue suit, and he created it by hand. And I don't think there's anything special. There's no powers. There's no technology to it. It's just him in the Spider-Man suit. The old spandex Spider-Man suit. So that was neat to see. The only other thing that I didn't like about the film, besides gushing over it, was some of the CG, some of the new ways Spider-Man moved. I think the other Spider-Man films did much better job to encapsulate it. Like the beginning scene with him and Zendaya flying through New York City looks horrible. I thought it was so unrealistic the way they were flying through everything. It was weird. It was really, really weird. And then all of their supporting characters that they had that were so endearing in the trilogy, they were all there, but incredibly underused.
Right.
Betty Brant and Flash Thompson and the teachers from the school and all, they were all there, but they were only there just to be there, just to make an appearance. They had nothing to do with the movement of the plot. So they seemed very shoehorned in, especially Flash. I was really, really sad to see Flash not get utilized at all, because Flash is a Venom character. If you guys don't
Well,
know,
yeah,
Flash
and
Thompson becomes
he was only
Agent
in
S of
what
Venom.
he was only in like one scene, I
2,
think.
yeah. Yeah, they dyed his hair blonde to match, the other Flash Thompsons of the world.
Yeah.
It just seemed like they wanted him to be important, and he played no part in it. What did he do? Goad them because he got into MIT? That was about
Yeah,
it.
that's about it. Mm-hmm.
Overall, what do I give it? I don't know. It's hard for me to score a Spider-Man's film because they mean so much to me in my life. But I wouldn't. I'm not going to score this film as its own film, because what the way I'm looking at it is, this was a perfect third act for a trilogy, and the trilogy I'll give like a 9 out of 10 as a trilogy as a whole. I mean, this trilogy
Yeah.
is absolutely my favorite Spider-Man trilogy, my favorite Spider-Man story. As Tom Holland is a god, hashtag Tom Holland's god. And he only proves his worth as Spider-Man in this film. So as a trilogy, this is gold. As an individual film, the plot is weak. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. Because I have to agree. This trilogy is my favorite trilogy. Honestly. Because
Absolutely.
he was the perfect person to cast
Yes.
as Spider-Man. And I was extremely happy with the way things were done. Did I like how they set it up to where this was all based on them getting into MIT? No, not so much. But all in all, I was very entertained by it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Did it have its problems? Of course it did. Every film does. But I still enjoyed it. I would gladly go back and see it again. Easily.
What's funny, they always ask, this film could never live up to the hype. This film lived up to the hype. It absolutely did. This film really, because of the emotion behind it, you went out there like jazzed about it.
Yeah.
So it lived up to the hype, I think. Now let's talk about the hype for a second, because I do want to talk about, if anybody's watching us, about the social ramifications of this film. It's going to be very interesting. If you have not seen this film, I urge you, I beg you, please go out to the theater and see this film this week. Even if you go see a matinee, whatever, go support your local theater houses for this film, because I think they're really betting on this film to see the future of the film franchise, the future of big box office films, the future of blockbusters, future of theater houses in general.
Yeah.
Because the theater houses are suffering. They don't predict them staying in business. And we're talking about the big major theater houses, AMC, Regal, Cinemark. They
Yeah,
can't sustain. They can't sustain this day and age. Meaning, if they can't sustain, then there will be no blockbusters. because the studios were not going to put in $400 million to create a film like Spider-Man No Way Home, where there's no place to showcase it except for on streaming services. The streaming services subscriptions are not going to bring in the money that these theater houses do. And we're going to lose a huge piece of our culture if these theater houses are gone. What Spider-Man No Way Home is doing for the business is it's trying to show confidence back into the public to say, we can still do this. We can overcome this. By submitting a big box office film is going to prove to the public that yes, blockbusters are still alive. Theater houses are still alive. And it gives confidence going into next year, going into next year's blockbusters. The other blockbusters have not done this year. And this is the last one. This is the last ditch effort to do this. Matrix doesn't count because Matrix was same day and date that went on HBO Max. Matrix is already on streaming. So Matrix doesn't count. This is it. This is the last blockbuster of the year. And it's so far, knock wood, is doing its job for this week. The box office numbers have been fantastic this weekend. It's going to be the second week that's going to prove everything. If this thing has a drop in box office numbers, 50, 60, 70% in 1 week, 90% in 1 week, which is possible.
Yeah.
The movie industry is going to look bleak next year, I think. And I know it's scary. I have hesitations myself about going with all the variants out there and COVID and it's also a big inconvenience now to go to the movie theater. It really is. It's sad. We got so used to streaming services and so used to all this stuff. But if you look at the grand picture of the whole thing, this film is so important, not just because it's a Spider-Man film, MCU. It's the future of our theater business. It's the future of money. It's future, blockbusters and box office and big theater houses, and we'll see what happens. It's a very interesting time of theater, a big interesting time of history.
There's your hashtag. There's your hashtag.
I use it on Facebook all the time. Tom Holland is God. Yes, he is.
That's right.
Tom Holland is God. Oh my God! Him sobbing in that. Oh no! I was like, God, Tom. Anyway, so Dwan, anything else to add? Anybody else in the comments got anything to add about?
Yeah, well, let's go through the comments and see if anybody has any questions.
Yeah. Talk about.
Let's see. Okay, we talked about the post-credit scenes. Blaze liked it. Toward the middle, the ending gets way darker, which
it is dark. It is dark, yeah. It's brutal too. There's a lot of violence in this one. There's
I know there is
heavy violence.
Let's see, what do you think will happen to Ned and MJ in the future? I want them to find him.
Ned is going to become the Hobgoblin. If you guys don't know who the Hobgoblin is, that's the goblin that's orange in the Spider-Man lore. That is Ned Leeds. And I think they were setting that up in this film. Setting that up because, with the trio of them, Ned felt kind of like on the outside. Ned also has always had a strong opinion. So they are developing Ned's character to be the Hobgoblin. That's where I think Ned is going. MJ, I don't know. It's very tricky with MJ because they could leave Zendaya out of this now from here on out and leave that as their swan song. Or they can utilize her as Peter's MJ, going forward, and there will be that whole sub-thought line about MJ remembering who he is, and all that kind of stuff. So, I think they left this open because Zendaya is a bigger star than some of these guys, and it's tricky.
I honestly hope that they keep her because
I do too. She
does still wear his Black Dahlia around her neck.
Yes, at the end she was wearing that.
Maybe she still might possibly have a tinge in there somewhere.
Like I said, very similar to Jacob and Queenie. The scene played to me like there was something she was thinking about. There was something she wanted to say. So I just hope it's gonna be years before there's a new Spider-Man film. So we'll see what happens.
And
if Zendaya and Tom Holland go through a big breakup, that's gonna be a problem too.
Oh, I know. I don't know about MJ's future. That's the sad thing right now with the way they left it.
Yeah. We'll see. Ask Zendaya. She's on Twitter right now. She's answering a lot of questions. I'm sure she'd love to do it. She's very, very jazzed, but of course there's so much more that goes into it.
Well,
so I don't know.
And you've seen those two together. I mean, they gush about each other. It's
Tom Holland they were just doing this post today or yesterday that Tom Holland is saying that he wants to take a break from acting so that him and Zendaya can start a family. I'm like,
oh my God, that is so cute.
No, it's not. Tom could ask for the money. Oh my God, where Tom is at right now? Don't quit right now. What's the matter with you? They're saying that Tom Holland now could ask for Robert Downey Jr. money.
That's true. He can.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Do we want to add anything else before we leave today?
Well, a couple things. We just want to remind everybody that we're still here. I know we haven't been streaming a bit because we are. I know I mean exactly.
Dancing.
And her performance on that, Marissa Tomei's performance. If you've not seen a really good death scene like this in a long time, and I won't spoil that. That you need to have the emotion to in the theater to see it. It's amazing. But
Yeah.
anyway, um,
We are
we
we
will
are
be
still
back.
here.
We are in off season. We do have some ideas for some stuff. The thing is that we are out of American Horror Story season right now, so we are taking some time off for for the holidays, for Christmas, to get my life together. I just moved, and
Yeah.
everybody's got some stuff, a bit of stuff going on right now. But we're not gone away. We've not left
No.
everybody. We will be in January. The official announcement here in January, we will be streaming. We will be covering Fire and Blood, or whatever the
Yes.
show's called. That's the book, but whatever
It's
the
called.
fuck the
It's
show's
called.
called.
It's called. No, it's not Dance of the Dragons.
No,
It's. I can't remember the name of
something.
it off the
The
top of
new
my head.
HBO Game of Thrones show.
Yeah.
We're
We're going
covering
to be
that.
covering the spin-off,
Yes,
basically.
we are covering that. And we're going to be covering. We've discussed this a lot about how we're going to cover this. We're going to be covering this about somebody just new to the show. We have not read the book. We were going to read the book and go through all that. So we're not claiming to be experts on this material. We're
No.
going to go into like you guys just seeing the show and see where we're at. We may cover the book later, but right now we're just going into the show. There's just too much to do. So we're going to enjoy the show with you guys. It's all kind
Yep.
of new.
We're going to have
I
fun
am
with it.
very I am a book reader and a show watcher. I do know a lot of the Game of Thrones. I've not read this particular book, so we'll cover it that way. And then we will be covering the one-off Harry Potter Return to Hogwarts special that is going to be aired on New Year's Day, which is the entire cast of the Harry Potter franchise are going to be back at the set in Leavesden for Hogwarts. And it'll be some sort of reunion special. I don't know if they're going to be doing in character or what, but it's a big deal. So we're going to be covering that event. Probably not that night, probably a day or so after, but we will cover it, talk about it.
We will be covering it, though, yeah.
We're going to have something.
We do have a few other things in the works, but we're not ready to talk about any of that yet.
We have a big project in the works, and we will announce that as our own special show when we're ready. That's going to be right quickly short after the turn of the year. So stay tuned for that. It's pretty exciting for us. Very, very exciting for us. Other than that, everybody have a safe Christmas, New Year's.
Yes. Everyone, enjoy your holidays.
Get your boosters.
We will be back. Yes, and do get your boosters. We will be back at the beginning of the year to start fresh, and hopefully you guys will be able to join us.
Yes, absolutely. For the other 50% of Late Night Sex, miss you ladies. Have a good Christmas. We love you guys. Debbie, check out the stream. We love you. We support
Debbie,
you.
check out the stream.
We're pimping you up there, my love. All right, guys.
Yep.
Have a good one.
All right, we love you guys. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.